As you know that usually I beams, I sections are used as a steel beams here. And if I ask you a question whether it is easy to design a RCC beam or steel beam, which one is easy to design? Whether it is easy to design rectangular RCC beam you can design easily, or I section steel beam is easy. Which one is easy? Both are having a, both are supposed to resist the bending moment. So its moment carrying capacity should be more than the factored bending moment. So the concept whether it is steel or RCC is same. Basically, beam is a member which is supposed to resist bending moment and shear forces. Whether it is a steel or RCC, its main job is to resist the moments and shear forces. So usually how it is done? According to me, steel beam design is easier than RCC beam because you don't have to deal with the sizes here. You have to select the you have to select whatever is available size in the market. You cannot say that let it be 230 by 450, 230 by 500. That is not possible here. You have to take the data from the market, and as per the steel table only, those manufacturers will be manufacturing these rolled steel sections based on steel table only. So here, steel design of steel beam is easier than RCC beam. You'll come to know why it is like that. So here, what? For example, if I say like this, if I say like this, let us say IS MB or whatever, like say let us say 400. If you want to understand briefly, I will explain whatever is done in 6th semester. Huh? Directly, I will not go to MTech portion here. So my question is, let us say I am having one I section ISMB 400, some weight it is having. Okay. My question is, if ISMB 400, let us say this whatever section I have drawn here, let us say this is ISMB 400. If this section is used as a simply supported beam, if I use it as a simply supported beam, carefully observe this question here. If this is used as a simply supported beam and effective span is 4 meter. So usually we don't go with intricacies of clear span, effective span, all those things. It is a waste of time. Effective, let us say effective span, you can see here, is let us say 4 meter. It is restrained slab. I mean restrained beam. Remember, restrained beam is easy, unrestrained is tough. So unrestrained is given for PJ, restrained is given for UG. Okay, laterally unsupported, or it is also called as laterally supported, laterally unsupported. So observe here, my question is, this is let us say ISMB 400, which will be used as a simply supported beam over a effective span of 4 meter. This is the data, and the condition is it is laterally supported, means restrained. It is also called as restrained beam. Means that the flange is not allowed to move. The compression flange, again you observe here, whenever I say laterally supported, or simply if I say restrained, what it means, the compression flange is not allowed to move in the lateral direction. That is, see this one here, there is no lateral movement possible. Laterally, it cannot move irrespective of whether the load is applied through the centroid or by mistake, whether the load is applied here on the beam or whether this is applied like this. Whatever it is, there is no question of any lateral movement of the compression zone. Laterally, it will not buckle. It will not become, for example, if I remove these two, see this one. If I remove these two, imagine only this force is there. Okay. There is every chance of the deflected shape being, it may be, the deflected shape may become like this. So this is not permitted. This is not going to happen. Adequate measures are there. Care is taken that there is no lateral movement. So laterally supported or restrained. So let us not get too much into that, because our focus is how to solve a simple problem on 6th semester. Still here, see this one. Now, laterally restrained, in order to understand this one, don't think too much about this. Only imagine that the compression flange is inside concrete. This is a slab here. Now we can see this is the thickness of the slab. This is all concrete it is. It is embedded inside. Exactly along this line, I can't say, it may be slightly inside also. Slightly it has gone inside, but it has not crossed the this one 50% of the depth. So usually this is, as you know, it is 125 to 150, depending upon the loading, whether it is a commercial load or whatever. Usually 100 to 150. 150 is higher number actually. Standard is 100 to 120. So if the compression flange, see this is compression, because as you know, there is a compression and tension zones are there. In case of a simply supported beam, there is one compression zone and tension zone divided by the, actually neutral axis divides the section into. That is why when I say this is compression flange, this one is a tension flange. So don't think too much. There are different methods of making the compression flange restrained. One simple thing you remember like this. So if this is the case, there is no question of any lateral movement, or we can say it is restrained beam. Beam is restrained. In your syllabus for MTech, slab is not there. It is not embedded anywhere. It is open only. There is a possibility of lateral torsional buckling is possible. Again, this new term also, you don't worry presently. In the present class, look at how to solve a problem using the code book. Then you start thinking about lateral torsional buckling means what, how it happens. Is there any animated video available on how to understand lateral torsional buckling? So many, there are n number of animated videos are there, because it is not easy to explain lateral buckling before you see an animated clip. It is not possible. It is not possible. You will not understand also. So you need to, I'll just share some, this one already I have given you, how this lateral torsional buckling is experimentally evaluated in the lab. That is a 2 or 3 minutes clip is there. You see that one, then you start worrying about all those things. Here the basic focus is, how do I solve a problem given in the question paper using the code book. Then you follow it up by those intricate details of what is the meaning of lateral torsional buckling and all. So here I'll show you. It is a I already told you that the design of steel beam is quite easier than RCC. We don't have to calculate the depth of actual neutral axis. We don't need to check whether the section is under reinforced, over reinforced, or balanced. We don't need to find out how many bars of what diameter to be introduced in the tension zone. All those things are not there. So steel design, beam steel design is easier than RCC beam design. Now the question, I'll come back to this question here. Observe this one. What I'm doing here is, my question is, I have given ISMB 400, all other geometrical details, you can refer the steel table and get those things. Thickness of flange, web, this R is also given, radius, all those things. All the data is available, all geometrical IZ, ZP, ZB, everything is there. Section modulus, that is elastic section modulus, plastic section modulus, all those are there. Now here, as you can see here, first thing that you should understand is, steel beam is designed using plastic theory. RCC beam is designed using limit state theory. The meaning here is, you are going to take the advantage of the plastic deformation of the beam before it fails. In terms of a graph, if you want to understand what is this, now observe this. If I draw the cross section, I mean a strain diagram or stress diagram, whatever, at failure, strain or stress diagram at failure, in case of RCC, remember I am telling you RCC, here what I should write, the section has failed means what is the strain here in the RCC? 0.0035. What is this? Ultimate strain in concrete, irrespective of whether it is M20, M30, M40, whatever it is. Whatever is the grade of concrete, this is the ultimate strain of concrete. At this strain, concrete has failed. The forces or the stresses are such that the strain has reached a value of 0.0035. So let us see here. How do you understand limit state design and plastic design? Try to follow this one. I'm telling you that steel beams are designed using plastic theory, not limit state theory. RCC beams are designed using limit state theory. Now here, now observe this one, 0.0035. Okay. Whatever is the strain that has reached here, the strain in the steel might have reached any number. But once the strain in concrete has reached this much, it has failed. It is no longer in a position to sustain, or it is no longer in a position to take any loads. Okay. Now strain in I'll show you that one, 0.002. It is inelastic strain, and Fy divided by 1.15 modulus elasticity of steel. There are two terms here. One is related to inelastic strain. One is inelastic, one more is elastic strain. A very small portion of, you can see very small portion of inelastic strain is there. This is, what is this? Stress by elasticity. 1.15 is, I'm going to take a value which is lesser than Fy. I'm not sure about Fy happening in the real life. Fy, let us say it is 250. Even though Steel is manufactured with maximum quality control measures, but even then still I'm not sure about 250 at the site. So what I will do, I'll divide this by a small number, 1.15. Now there is a probability that I am sure that it will not exceed this number at any cost. So this is what we call as partial safety factor, because we are not sure about Fy happening at the site. So ultimately this is stress by strain, which is elasticity. Now this is what it means in case of limit state design is, if the topmost layer has yielded, if the topmost layer has yielded, it has given up, it has given up, there is a rupture in the topmost layer, that is the end of limit state. Only one layer should not fail. Even if a single layer gives up, that is the end of the story. It means it is no longer in a position to take any additional load, or it may not take the whatever load that is right now existing. Even if the load is removed, there is no, because it has crossed the plastic range, which is very small. Nobody is able to calculate how much is the plastic range till today for concrete, whether the plastic range really exists. If it does exist, how much it is, nobody knows. So here suddenly 0.0035 top layer has yielded. It means the beam has failed. Okay. In steel, what will happen? How the diagram is drawn in steel beams? Only the beams are designed, plastic analysis, not the compression and tension members of steel. Only in case of steel beams, plastic analysis is used. Now I'll draw this figure. Observe. If you see the similar figure in case of a steel at the time of failure, see, this is the diagram. What it indicates? It indicates that if just one layer gives up, this is steel related, and this strain, whatever I have drawn here, the strain diagram, it is related to, it can be stress diagram also, both are similar. Okay. Exactly the neutral axis, they are separated, two rectangles, exactly along the neutral axis. Now you look at this diagram and this one, the major difference is every layer has yielded here. It means complete plastic zone has crossed. It means initially top layer has yielded, next layer starts fighting for that. It is not given up. Once it has failed, next layer starts fighting. Once it gives up, next layer. What it means here is each and every layer has to reach its ultimate value of strain. That is why it looks like as if there are two rectangles. Here there are two triangles. In this case, there are two triangles, because the moment the top layer has yielded, limit state design ends there only. the reason is the reason why we do like this is, there is no guarantee. We don't know much about the plastic theory of concrete, whether it has got some plasticity, that also we don't know. Even if it has, how much, we don't know. That is why we don't get into that risk here. No risk should be taken, because we don't know the plastic behavior of concrete, because it is a highly brittle material. Whereas we do have a lot of knowledge about the plastic behavior of steel. How the once the elastic limit is over, what will happen? To what extent extra load it can take before actually it fails. So this is a, if you see this diagram here, see, you can see the diagram, that is stress strain diagram of steel, idealized. You can see elasticity. This range is, you can see this is elastic range. Okay. It goes like this actually, but this is all, we don't consider all this. This is Fy value, maximum elastic limit stress is this, because elasticity is, this is elastic range. ER, I'll not Write completely here. Elastic range, this is PR, horizontal portion, plastic range. Actually, corresponding to this strain, still it is this entire thing is made use of, entire plastic zone, because the strain goes on increasing at a constant stress. Finally, this will happen due to cup and cone fracture. This will happen. Finally, we are getting a, because when the material starts yielding, its diameter changes, whereas we are using the original diameter only. When I start stretching a steel rod, I find stress. How I'll find load by cross sectional area. But as the force is increasing, the diameter reducing there. So this is not accounted for. That is why there is an up in this. This is what? This is Fu. Actually, it fails here. But if you compare this one, what I'm trying to tell you is PR you compare with stress strain curve of concrete. What is happening there? You see here. Huh? What happens there? You see here. This is the stress strain curve of concrete. It is like this. We don't know where elastic limit ends. We don't know where plastic starts, whether it is there or not. We don't know anything about that. We don't know means it is not there. Many have tried. It is not showing any significant plastic behavior. So here we exactly don't know where the elastic limit ends. Then how do you find this corresponding Fy? How do you find it? What is the procedure for this? Because it does not have any definite yield point. Where does the elastic limit ends and where it enters into plastic, or immediately it is a brittle material, immediately it fails, because which is a very problematic issue here, because I don't know when the elastic limit is ending. So what we do for that, I don't know whether you people know it. If you know it, it is well and good. We draw one proof stress type of a curve here. We draw one tangent at the origin, and this distance is proof strain. It is experimentally calculated for a material, and this tangent parallel to this line, tangent at the origin line, I draw one dotted line. Both are parallel. These two are parallel lines. Wherever it cuts this point, this is taken as its maximum elastic limit stress, F, or whatever it, sigma or F, whatever you call it. It means it does not have any well-defined yield point. So many difficulties are there. That is why we never think of a plastic design of RCC beams. So this is what you need to understand. That is why concrete is more complicated material than steel. It is not easy to predict the behavior of concrete as easily as that of steel. So since the behavior of the material is since we are not able to understand the material clearly, so all the theory based on that material will be approximate only, because we don't know exactly how it behaves once the elastic limit crosses. That is why I'm telling you, since the material is more complicated, any theory, any derivations related to that material will be more approximate than the material of which the behavior is known to us. Okay, it means steel beam design is easier than concrete beam design. Coming back to the basic question here, my basic question is if you know this one, it will be easy for me to go further into MTech syllabus. Now observe this one here. My question was ISMB 400 is given. It will be used as a simply supported beam for an effective span of 4 meter. What is the moment carrying capacity? How much moment it can carry, or how much load it can carry if it is used as a, let us say, used for a UDL. Let us say some UDL is there on this. So in more simple way, in more simple way you observe here. The problem is like this. If you can get it now, it is, you need to thank the person who has taught you steel structures. If you can get it. See this one, let us say 5 meter. My question is, what is the moment carrying capacity of this I section? Dimensions are given, everything is given. Only span is given to you. It is a restrained beam. This part is inside the, I can say that this part is, this much is inside the concrete, let us say. Compression flange is restrained. Can you get this value? Can you find this? Can you find out the moment carrying capacity? Only this much is given to you. That's why I'm telling you, if this much data is given for a RCC beam, it is not possible for you to find out anything there. You cannot find the moment of resistance with this much data. If I say it is a concrete beam, some steel rods are there inside. It's not possible. That is why it is very simple actually. So my question is, you need to calculate this one. MD, moment carrying capacity. Because once you calculate moment of resistance or moment carrying capacity, it must be equated to WL square by 8. You'll be knowing the moment carrying capacity with the given data, with the given I section and other things. You will be able to calculate separately MD value. This MD value, once you calculate, equate it to WL square by 8, then you will get W, because L is already there. So do you know how to find out moment carrying capacity of a steel beam? That is the question here. If you know that one, the problem is takes 2 minutes. Usually this problem in the, even in gate also, they won't give you more than 1 minute for this. Let us say 2 minutes. Initially you may take 5 minutes, that is different. They don't give it. Okay. So this is what I'll tell you now. I'll go fast in case of your I need to download, I think one more I have written and I sent it to my email ID. Anyway, so this is you can see this one here. In the today's topic, module number 1, it is beams. Page number of IS code I have written 18, 53, 59 like that. Maybe 54 may also be required. We'll see that one. It is exactly here. These are the pages of IS code book. See, whenever you solve a problem in this subject, start with page numbers, see what is there in the page numbers. You should remember, if I question number 1, I have to solve using these pages only. In the examination, you should not go on searching those pages. That much time will not be there, because the calculation is very lengthy here. Problem is procedure is initially it is difficult, but once you follow it, calculations are lengthy, so it is going to take time. And if you start searching the page numbers over there, you will end up scoring very less. So this is a beam here. See this, restrained. Laterally unsupported means unrestrained. This is there in your syllabus. Laterally supported was there in previous, that is 6th semester. I'll show you that one. I'll show that problem here. I opened the pages of already I have opened the corresponding page here in the code book only. See this one. The entire book is here. Entire code book is here. This is I have taken page number 60, but actually see initial pages also it is counting now. So 60 will not be exactly the page number printed on that page. You can see this one here. So this is the important page number. If you know this page number, you can solve the problem. It means even if you don't follow the theory, still you can solve the problem if you know the procedure. If you know the procedure, you will be knowing that I should open 54, 55 some pages in the code book Every formula is available over there. Use that formula because I know the procedure and get full marks for that. You will get 20 out of 20 without even understanding the theory. You can score, so you don't worry about that. Don't worry about getting full marks here. You will get it. Try to understand what you should understand here. What is meant by lateral torsional buckling. Unless you see the animation, it is not possible for me to explain that. I'll send that also. So here, this is the page number 54. Remaining pages I'll show it. For it is unrestrained. I need to download. I think I forgot it. Still 15 minutes are there. All of you type your your names there. In the meanwhile, I will download that simple beam design. Whatever I told you, 5 meter or 4.5, whatever. I'll download and I'll show it. Restrained, unrestrained steel beam. Whether how many pages are there? I'll need to check it now. Whether all pages are there or not. I'll show you unrestrained. I'll just finish it in 5 minutes. Then I'll go to the unrestrained. Restrained I'll take less time. Restrained was there in 6M. In restrained, I'll tell you how to find the EMD, whatever problem I told you. Again I got the same thing here. Okay. Again I'll open that page. Let me check it. This is restrained means it is 6M. I'll explain for 2-3 minutes. I don't know whether you know that. If you know it, I would have gone further. I would have gone directly to the unrestrained beam because it is little bit lengthy and procedure you have to understand. I don't know why I'm getting only one page here. Okay, it is here only, no? Okay. It is there. See, next page I will go. So before this, from page number 1, I'll start on. See this one, problem definition, you read it. You read and what is to be calculated, you see there. Example 1, ISMB 400 at 61.6 kilogram per meter. If you open the specific page, you'll get all of the geometrical properties related to this section. It is used as a simply supported beam for an effective span of 5 meters. Beam is laterally supported. It is restrained. Determine the design bending strength, design shear strength, intensity of service UDL, and maximum deflection. I'll not go into the details of deflection, which is not required, but that formula you'll be knowing it. Pi by 384 or W, that formula is there. I'll show that one. So this is what is done here is the problem is they have given you the span and they say it is simply supported and cross section, that is ISMB 400 steel section is given to you, span is given to you. How much is the bending moment it can resist, which is nothing but design bending strength. How much shear it can resist. Shear is maximum at the support as per your strength of material knowledge. How much shear strength it has. What is the shear strength of this particular member? Okay. So this is what you are going to do it. First one is, step number 1 is see this one. I'll go to the next page. Solution is here. First step is you should open that particular section in steel table and note down the geometrical properties of that. The properties which are required for solving this problem. I'll go to the second page. There properties are noted. So properties are noted here. Step 1, note down the properties. I think it is little bit blur, I think. Image is little bit blur, but here just see this one. It is nothing but I have drawn the figure after referring the steel tables. 400, thickness of the web 8.9, Okay, like this. This has been 8.9, 16 mm is flange thickness. Little bit blur it is. I will share the notes. These notes also I will be giving you, even though it is for 6 mm. ZE, ZP you note it. Okay. All the geometrical properties are noted here. This radius at the base here at the junction is not required, so it is not noted here. Whatever is relevant, once you solve, you will come to know which are to be noted. This table you don't have to write in the answer, in the actually when you write the solution. This is only to check whether the beam is plastic, compact, or semi-compact. Okay, it goes with this ratio B by TF, D by TW. This is table 2 of IS 800, page 18. Small portion I have taken out. Only this one you can highlight there in that particular IS, this one. So usually the best thing is you should have 2 pages of table 2 in that hard copy. In one table 2, you highlight whatever is required for your calculations. At the time of binding, you should do like that. So you use 2 pages of that. Table 2 should be at 2 places, and whatever is required for beam design, just highlight it. So it will be easy for you to solve the problem fast. So B by TF, D by TW should be 9.4 times epsilon. Epsilon, as you know, it is 1 only, because it is square root of 250 by Fy. Fy is that material. 250 is a constant. Fy is the yield strength of that material, which is usually in most of the cases 250. It is always 1. Wherever epsilon is there, it is 1 only. Now, one more condition is if D by TW is less than 67, check for web buckling is not required. There is a possibility of buckling of web under concentrated loads. This will happen if D by TW is less than 67. So you don't worry about this part presently. We will not go into those things here because I'll be totally deviating. Check for web buckling not required is there if D by TW is less than 67. Let us not worry about it. In this problem, see this. B and D should be calculated. These B and D are important. B and D. What are these B and D? You can see this one here. B is 140 by 2. Just see this. Actually, these things you should be knowing actually, but I don't know what is the problem. I don't know whether you know this. Otherwise, next topic, which is MTech topic, I would have gone directly to that. BF by 2. Flange width by 2 is B. This total is BF. Okay. D is inside to inside. So this is B and D. Your table 2 is depends on these parameters. That is why you should know what is that. So B and D I have defined here. B by TF. So this is, observe this. B by, what is TF? This is the ratio. Flange thickness. D divided by what? D divided by this thickness. So it is B by TF, D by TW. Those are the table 2. B by TF, D by TW. This is how you should be able to follow this using this diagram. So this by this by D by TW, like that. Total is BF, width of the flange. Half of that is center up to center line is B. Inside to inside is D. In this way, I have calculated 140 by 2. 140 is the width of the flange. Okay. See here, 140. It is a little bit blur actually. This while taking the photo that was scanning. This is 140 actually. Anyway, let us go to this calculation here. So yeah, I have calculated B by, what is that? B by TW is calculated I mean TF 70 by 16, because 140 by, you can say 140 by 70, that is 70 by 16 is equal to 4.4 less than 9.4 it is. So let's see what I'm trying to do here is, whether the section is plastic, compact or semi-compact. I am checking. If these two are true here, 9.4 E, if B by T TF is 9 point less than 9.4, D by TW less than this or equal to this, it is called as plastic section, for which beta will be 1. What is beta? I will tell you. Beta will be 1. For that, our solution becomes simple. Usually, most of the I sections belong to plastic only. Plastic, semi-compact and compact. In most of the cases, you can see it falls in this range only. In this range. So you will say that the beam is this one is plastic only. See this. So this is 4.4 less than 9.4. D by TW 328 by the thickness is 8.9, 41.3. So it follows this one. It has satisfied this criteria. The section is plastic. Beta is equal to 1. What is this beta? You will come to know in the next page. So beta, see, to finalize beta, this table 2 is required for us. And it falls in this range. It is like that. If one value is this 9.4 E, one more is 105.8, you have to assume either compact or plastic and you have to solve it. If it is a semi-compact, beta has to be calculated by ZP by ZE. The calculation becomes very lengthy. So examiner will not set a problem in which the section will be semi-compact. The reason is ZP ZE calculation may be lengthy, or it may be available in the table also. Table of ZP values. There also you can select and get it. So next is I'll go to the next page. So step 1 was noting the geometrical properties. Step 2 was whether the section was what, plastic or compact or semi-compact, like that. Now step 3, bending strength and shear strength I have to calculate, MD and VD. So page number 53 of IS 800, this formula is there. Smaller of these two, MD is smaller of this and this. Both formula are there in the page number 53 of IS 800. That also I have shown it. So it means that blindly you go to this page, note down this formula here, directly insert those values. In this way only you can write the answer also. There is no problem. The examiner should understand the student knows how to solve it. How to represent the solution is your problem. The person who is checking your paper should know that this fellow knows how to solve this problem. So here beta B ZP Fy by gamma M naught. Very simple formula it is. Beta B, since it is a plastic section, it is 1. ZP is already noted in the geometrical properties of step 1. ZP is there in the steel tables or in appendix of IS 800. Then 250 divided by 1.1, 276. One of the values is 267. Again use this formula. This is a plastic theory, this is elastic theory, but 1.2 is taken here. So this is 1 ZP, this is 1.2 ZE. Rest all is same. Okay. Two formula is there. Instead of beta B, 1.2 is written. In place of ZP, elastic section modulus is written. This is the formula. Substitute whichever is smaller, you finalize it. See, this is the value. 267.3 is the moment carrying capacity. This much of moment it can carry, because this is the moment of resistance. This is bending strength is nothing but moment of resistance. So the load should be such that whatever load you apply, whatever UDL you apply, when you calculate the WL square by 8 with that load, it should not be more than 267.3 kilonewton meter. That is WL square by 8 should not be more than this number, because this is the maximum strength, bending strength of the material. So let us go to the next here. Design bending strength Out of these two, I have written 267.3. I think time is over. I'm not able to start that syllabus portion also today. So I'll finish this one now. Observe here. How do you find the shear strength? Shear strength, you look at this diagram here. Since the shear force is vertical, okay, shear force is vertical like this. The resisting section is hatched part of the I beam. These two will not resist. There is no question of flanges resisting the shear. Only this part, whatever is hatched, no, that is a resisting area. So this formula is again page number 59 of IS 800. This formula is there. Okay, this one is there. I'm trying to find out the shear strength now. VD AV Fy by root 3. So one root 3 has come extra. It is not Fy by 1.1 or anything like that, because we are dealing with the shear strength of the steel. Now again, you should go back to the strength of material. How do I find tensile strength? Subjected to tensile test in the universal testing machine. How do I find shear stress? The attachment is different and the strength is different. So the shear strength or the shear stress of steel is different than its tensile strength. That is why there is no Fy by, in place of Fy, one extra care is taken here. Extra care is taken. It is divided by root 3. Then it is again divided by gamma m naught. Remember here, in case of tensile, it was Fy by gamma m naught. Here, Fy by root 3. This is, what is this number? Fy by root 3. It is the shear stress of the material. So they have established a relation between tensile stress and shear stress of the material. If the tensile stress is 250, its shear stress is that divided by root 3. Then again I have to apply the partial safety factor. So this is entire thing is permissible shear stress, entire thing. So AV is what? AV is this area. What is this area? This is area of this shaded rectangle. This into this. Total is 400, thickness here it is written 400 into 8.9 is the thickness of flange. So this much is the area which is resisting the shear force. So finally you end up with 467.1. So whatever load you apply, whatever point load or UDL you apply, the reaction should not be 467. Reaction means shear force if it is simply supported beam. Because if it is a simply supported beam, the reaction itself is shear force. So it should not be, the load should be such that whatever reaction it produces at the supports, whenever it is symmetrically loaded, the value should not be more than, actually one more rule is there that I will not tell you right now, I'll tell you later. Even it should not be 467, it should be 0.6% of this to be on the safer side. Some rule is there for that, but here you try to understand this is nothing but maximum shear force that the beam can resist is 467.1. Due to some other conditions are there, we will not use this value also. Some multiplier is there which is maybe 0.6, something like that. That value is final. So save UDL WL square by equate 267.3. 267.3 was smaller of these two numbers. Okay, this was smaller of this. So here what I am doing, smaller of those two I am taking, equating it to WL square by 8. So from this one I am getting the WU divided by, I want the service load, divide, this is a factored load, divide this by 1.5. Service load is 57. It means I should apply a UDL of 57 kilonewton meter. If I apply 58, the beam is unsafe. Any load which is less than or equal to 57 is safe now. Any UDL. Actually, it includes dead load also, which I have not calculated here. Actually, what I should do, I should calculate 66 point something is there no per meter weight. Convert it into kilonewtons. That much you subtract from 57. Whatever net weight is there, that is net UDL that can be placed on the beam safely. or it can be less than that. It should not be more than 57, including the dead weight. So delta 5 by 384 WL4 by EI. See, whenever you find the deflection, remember you should use service loads. W should be service load, because at service load, what is a deflection you are calculating? Serviceability criteria is always based on service loads. So W should not be 85.5, it should be service load, which is 57. So here you substitute 57, L is there, E and I are given. So finally 11.34. So I have not given whether it is accepted or not, because there is one formula span by 300 something like that. That value should be more than this. This is actual deflection. Permissible deflection can be L by 300 and all. That value should be higher than this. Otherwise, it is unsafe in deflection. So this is the end of your one revision. Actually, it is 6th sem revision. 6th semester revision it is. In the next class, I will solve the problem, which is little bit lengthy. I'll show you that one formula here. In 1 minute, I'll stop it. Already, I think it is taken. This is the page which you will be using for solving the problem. See how lengthy formula is there. See what you are calculating here. You will calculating all this. You are calculating FCRB, MCR. You are calculating chi-LT. This is called as chi-LT. Why so much correction is required? When I design it as a unrestrained, there is a possibility of lateral buckling is there. Okay, I'll stop it now.